Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop, and today I'm going to show you how to use your Jtech laser on your hobby CNC and use Lightburn software to transform this into something like this. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is go to the Lightburn software webpage. So they are lightburnsoftware.com, and we're going to click on download trial. So they do have a 30-day trial, I believe. And you're going to select the correct version for you. I'm on a Windows 64-bit version, so I'm going to click that. And then it's going to download from their drive.google.com site. All right, so we're going to double-click on the installer. Come up with Lightburn. We'll hit next, next, create, install. And it's going to go ahead and install. You want to make sure that your hobby CNC is plugged in and the power is turned on. So for me, it's found the GRBL 845mm by 850 at COM3. That's the USB port at this baud. We don't really need to worry about any of this. Just know if it found something, it should say GRBL. If you're having the Shapeoko or the X-Carve, that means it found the device it's connected to. So we'll hit add device. Where is the origin of your laser? That's going to be the front left. Are we going to auto home your laser on startup? I'm going to hit yes. The same way that anytime you cut, you need to home it first. We'll hit good. That's it. You're done. Here's the summary. It's a GRBL-based USB GRBL. This is the size. Origin at the front left. We'll hit finish, and you can see I have a GRBL device, 845, 850, origin front left, home on startup. We do have to edit this a little bit. This 845 by 850, that is too big. So we'll hit edit. We'll hit next. We'll hit next. And we're going to change this. The actual cutting area where it'll fit is about 31 by 31. You can measure this by going to the extremes, by just manually jogging it with your laser attached, and find the extremes of it and just measure it in with a measuring tape or a ruler. But for this purpose, I'm going to do 31 by 31. And we'll hit next. Everything else will be the exact same. We'll hit next again, 31, 31 origin. And we'll hit finish. You're just going to have to measure this for your machine and put that in there. But we'll hit finish. And now that is our laser. We only have one laser. I only have one laser. I'm going to click Make Default. And we're going to hit OK right here. Now you can see it changed our measurements in the background. And now we're going to have to do some inputting of some code to make it work for our Shapeoko. So down here on the bottom, you'll see devices. Of course, we have our Shapeoko listed. We just went through the walkthrough. We're going to have to connect to it now, so we'll hit choose. When we hit choose, hopefully one of these comms will show up. COM3 is apparently my USB port where the Shapeoko is connected. So we're going to make sure our Shapeoko is turned on, and we'll hit COM3. And you can see we're waiting for a connection. We've connected homing. We have GRBL 1.1F. And now we are all fully connected. You can see the Shapeoko is listed down here. So the first thing we'll do is click on home. It's the same thing we do in Carbide Motion, or if you have the X-Carve, it'll home itself before you do any cuts. So you'll go ahead and click on that, and I'll run homing just like it normally does. You can see it's busy right now. It's moving to home for me. It is now homed, and we're ready for the laser. All right, if you don't have GRBL 1.1F and you have something that's lower than this, it is absolutely recommended to go ahead and update that. And you can find that on my Shapeoko vs. X-Carve Part 1, where I walk through assembling the Shapeoko and upgrading the firmware. This 1.1F allows lasers. If you have something before that, it doesn't, so it won't work properly. So make sure you have 1.1F up here in the console.
When we're ready, we're going to click on the gear icon up top. You're going to see we have this units and grids, better for CO2, better for diode. CO2 is not what we're using. We're using a diode laser. You could choose inches per minute or millimeters per minute. If we're in the CNC world, we're kind of used to more inches per minute, especially when we're thinking feeds and speeds. So I find it easier to switch to inches per minute. Now remember, if you have millimeters per minute and you go in and you're filling in numbers and you're thinking inches in your head, you're going to be way, way off. So this is really important to know which one you've selected. I'm going to click inches per minute, and we're going to leave it at that. We're going to go down here, and we're going to hit OK.
I'm going to come over to the console window, and this is some stuff that you've never got into with the Shapeko if you're beginning, and you can actually do this in Carbide Motion or easel, but we're going to type money and hit enter. And when you do that, you'll see a list of all kinds of numbers here. 0 equals 10, 1 equals 255, 2 equals 0. And I'm going to bring up a website and show you what all these numbers mean. All right, so I went to github.com. This is showing the GRBL version 1.1 configuration. If you look up GRBL for Shapeoko, it's going to show you maybe the 0.9 configuration. It's going to leave some of them out that have been updated. But this will show you all of them. So we're just going to scroll down to this GRBL settings where the money we typed in will show you what all of these numbers do. And you can look through and see what each one of these does. This is where you can configure some of the settings. Like if you wanted it to home faster, you can change these values in the money. But you can see why we updated right here. This is the main one. Number 32 equals 0. This is laser mode. Without that, it will not do laser mode. So 0 is off, and then if we change that 0 to a number 1, it's on. So you can see all the values and what we're changing. And if you ever need to go back to default, here they are. I'll leave a link in the description below and also on my blog post about this. So if you need any references, you can go ahead and check that out. So let's go back to Lightburn. So I'm back at Lightburn, and you can see the console over here is corresponding with these numbers. You see money equals 10, money equals 10. This is the step pulse, money equals 25. Shapeoko uses 255. But you can see, again, the main one we're going to look at is money 32, the laser. Our money 32 equals 0, and that means our laser mode is off. And that's something we want to change. Okay, so what we're going to be changing is number 30, 31, and 32. So 30 and 31 are the spindle speeds. And this matters for us because our spindle, instead of turning the router, is actually going to be the laser. So 31 equals 0, and 30 equals 1,000. We're going to change that. Let's see what it is on our thing. Yeah, 30 equals 1,000, 31 equals 0, and 32. So the first thing we're going to do is do the money symbol. Number 32, that's for the laser mode. We're going to do the equals button. And then we're going to put in number 1, and we're going to hit enter. So if I scroll down, you can see right before the OK, I put in that, and it hits OK. If we want to see if that took, we just type in money, and hit enter. And now we can scroll up and see, oh, number 32 equals 1. So we've changed that value. We've actually enabled Lightburn to use laser mode. So the other numbers we're going to need to change is 30. So this is for the max spindle speed. This is pretty much max power of the laser. So we're going to type in the money sign. Number 30 equals 255. So 100% is 255 for the laser value. And we'll hit enter there. Scroll down, which says OK. So let's hit money to make sure that worked. So we hit money, and here's another console. 30 equals 255. It's fantastic.
So there is one more that I forgot that I'm editing in. It's number 10. So it's money 10 equals 0. That equals button didn't work. Equals 0. Right now it is 255. That is going to change our numbers from a negative to a positive, the coordinates of where things are on here. Shapeoko works in a negative space, and Lightburn doesn't like that at this current time. So it's going to change that to a positive space. We'll hit OK. That way when you're running and you're moving, when you get position up here, right now it's showing zeros for everything, it will actually show positive numbers. So if you wanted to move to a position, you can put it in right here and hit go, and it'll move. If you don't do that, money 10 equals 0, it'll show negative numbers, and you can't input negative numbers to move to positions. So that will change that. You can actually run this without changing the 10 value. Just know that your positions are going to be in the negatives, and it'll be kind of odd. So that's one edit in there.
And then our final one, if it's not already, would be 31 equals 0. And you can see we already have that, so we're not going to have to change that. That's the minimum laser, and 31 equals 0 is 0. The laser is turned off. Okay, we're going to go back up here to this wrench and screwdriver, and we're going to click on that. We're going to come over here to this S value max. We're going to change this to 255. We're essentially telling this is the max the laser can do. 100% would be 255, and we'll hit OK.
One other item we're going to go ahead and click on is this setting right here. We're going to choose fast white space. If this isn't turned on, you want to go ahead and turn it on. That will turn green. And then we're going to change how fast it moves in white space. I'm going to change it to 200 inches per minute. What it essentially is doing is it's slowing down to the number we chose, this 30 speed, to go ahead and engrave. And when there's nothing to engrave, as in this all white space here, and this picture has a lot of it, it's going to move at 200 inches per minute and then slow down back to 30 and engrave, and then go up and engrave at 30. And then as soon as it hits white space that it's not going to burn, it's going to move at 200. So we want to get a comfortable number here. The higher the number, the faster it'll go, and the shorter the elapsed time will take. So I'm doing 200 on this picture.
And then another one, we're going to choose right here, enable laser fire button. We're going to make that green. That's turning it on. When we need the laser to fire, because we need to find our center point, our 0 for the laser, the X and Y, we actually need to see the laser hit the board, or we'll be guessing. So this will enable a button over on the right side, and we'll be able to hit that and see the laser hit. So we'll enable that, and that's it for here. We're going to hit OK. Now we have to close Lightburn, and we're going to reopen Lightburn, and that allows our settings to take place over here. So now over here in the right side, we're going to have a button. If you click on move, that has fire. And right now it's at 0%. We're going to turn this up as high as we can at the lowest setting so we can see the laser with our eyes, always looking through the protective shield. And we don't turn the laser on high enough to where it'll actually burn, because this is how we can see where we're zeroing to our material. So the Shapeko is set up kind of backwards to all of the other machines. It is set up in negative space. So if we try to do anything at this point, it's going to grind the machines, because it's going to try to work off the back right of the machine. We actually have to flip that around. So we're going to do 2 macros to make the laser work the correct way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click on macro 0. And we're going to type in under the button label, use laser. And then down here in the macro contents, we're going to type in the letter G, 10, space, L2, space, P1, space, X dash 812, space, Y dash 812. Now what this is doing, it's telling where our coordinates are. You can see the 812 and the 812, the X and the Y. It's telling it that we're actually down here and not up here working this way. So we'll hit OK right here. And that has now added the use laser up here in the macros. We only have the one. And if you have a different work table size, and let's say it's only 720, you'd be typing in the X is 720 and the Y is 720. You'd be typing that right here. The same things up here, just depends on the size of your table, like if you have the XL or the original. So for me, it's the XXL, and we're at 812. We're hitting OK. Okay, now we're going to go over to macro 1, and we're right-clicking again, and it brings up the button label, and we're going to type in use CNC. So this is when we're finished with the laser and we want to go back to using the CNC as we normally do. We'll click on use CNC. Here's the macro contents. We're going to start off the same way, G10 space L2 space P1 space X is 0 now for the coordinate and Y is 0. And that will be the same no matter what size machine you have. And we'll hit OK, and now you can see we have a use laser and a use CNC over here. And that's perfect. So we're ready to laser. So we're going to click on the use laser right here. And you can see it said started streaming. Streaming really means we're taking this macro and we're sending it over to the machine, and it completed in 0 seconds, nanoseconds. We couldn't even see it. So right now we're in laser mode. We're ready to use the laser. Then we're going to click on move, and we've already homed before. We're going to just start jogging around and make sure we are correct. So we're going to have to click on left and go over and check and make sure that this is moving left, and it is, and then down if everything is moving in the right direction. And if you click on the home button, it'll return back to home. Now over here on this side, this is the distance. We have it set up in millimeters. So if we want to change that to move a little farther, we can change it to 20. And each one we change, it's going to move farther each time. The Z speed, you may want to go slower with this. This is moving the machine, the cutter up and down. And that's these corresponding ones right here. This going up and down. You can hear my machine is grinding because it was trying to go up farther than it can. So you don't want to have this distance really far because you want to get pinpointed in for the Z up and down. Left and right, X and Y, that'll be perfectly fine. We're going to double check up here. We're going to click on the gear again, and we're going to make sure our origin, we have the 4 corners of our machine. We're going to make sure that this is set on the bottom left. Okay, our machine is correctly set up. Everything should be ready. Now we are going to import a picture and get it all set up and zeroed and get ready to laser. Okay, this is really great for doing vectors, but really fantastic for using pictures. So what we're going to do is come up here on the open folder, and we're going to click that, and we're going to find the picture we want to import to laser. And by picture, I'm not saying a vector, an actual picture. So over here, you can see I only have 3 things in my downloads folder. It's not showing the picture I downloaded. So I'm going to click over here on the Lightburn files, click on all supported. So you can see it popped 2 more in. And I want to do this drawing somebody hand drew. So we're going to double click on that. And here is my drawing. I'll make it a little bigger. This was an artist who drew this for someone, and he wants to put it on some wood. So we want to get this picture done onto our machine. Here's our full machine layout, and we want to make this as wide as we can on our board that I've made. So we're going to get the wooden board, and we're going to measure that dimension. Okay, so my board is going to be, the width is 270. And the height is 350, which it automatically did for me. It proportioned it correctly. So this is actually the size board I have on my wasteboard, and I can move this around anywhere I want. I'm probably just going to laser right kind of in the center. Doesn't really matter. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And now I've sized my board correctly. So what I'm going to do is go over to the arrow tool. That's what we have right here, because I'm just bringing in a board. And we're going to come over to cuts. And we have our image selected. And we're going to double click on it. We can change the name of this to anything we want. We don't even have to put a name in there, but I'm just going to put in customer because it's for a customer. You can see our speed and our max power. Now for me, the speed I've done in inches per minute is about 30 inches per minute. And then max power, I'm setting it at 60. These are just things that I've tried and they've worked well for me.
We're doing dithering, so it's a bunch of little teeny dots. You can get a better image with grayscale. It's going to take a little bit longer, and it's harder to dial in the settings, but for this kind of setting, it's been perfect with dots. We're going to click Enable Overscanning at 2.5. Overscanning is going to make the laser keep going a little bit. It's going to turn the laser off, but keep going, 2.5%, which is 0.01 inches, very small in this setting, but it won't leave a harsh burn right at the edge. So if it stopped right at the edge every time burning, you'll get a very dark line going that way. So overscanning is a really nice feature. You can see the way things are going. It's going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, and it won't just skip all around like sometimes it happens in CNC stuff. So you can see I'm choosing dither. That's the dot scale. You could do grayscale. That would be really nice to give a higher quality image. It's going to take a little bit longer, and the settings are harder to get correct. So I'm just going to stick with dither for one of the first projects. It'll come out pretty nice, so we'll leave it there. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. At this point, we're ready to cut. So we're going to go ahead and move, click on the move, and we're going to move our machine to where we need it to go. As of right now, there's no hotkeys for left, right, up, and down. In future versions, I know that they're going to be hotkeyed to a number pad, so we can move our machine with the keyboard that we use for the CNC. If you have that keyboard, it can also be used for this in future versions, but right now we can't do it. I do know it's coming up within the next 2 versions.
All right, so we're at my machine. You can see I'm in the back right. I've just homed it, but I have a bit in there. So what I'm going to do actually is come over here and remove that bit. So I'm going to raise this up. Go ahead and get my wrench and get the bit out. You do not want to engrave with the bit in. The bit will actually get down into your wood. You just can't be done. So it needs to be bit free. So let's remove that bit. One other thing is that the collet that you just removed may be down lower. So I like to go ahead and spin that collet up to where it gets pretty hand tight, so it's up out of the way. So here's the piece of wood I'm going to cut. It's a piece of hard maple. I chose this because it's light, and the laser will actually come out really nice contrast on this. The great thing about this is I don't need any kind of clamps. I just need to put it in here. However, I do want to make sure that it is correct on the board. So you want to make sure this is square to the machine. If you have my L fence or L clamps, you can put that in and square it up. If you don't have that and you have any type of clamps that can semi make a fence, I'm just going to use these oops clamps for now. All I'm going to do is push down on there, and these don't need to be tight. It doesn't matter. It just needs to be even, and now I know I'm correct and square to the actual laser. So let's go ahead and move this over here. We'll attach the laser, and we'll go ahead and zero it out right here. All right, so we got the laser moved up closer to where we can work. Now I have the 4.2 watt magnetic mount. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on. And it just fits in the holes there. And it magnets on. Then I take my wires and I hook them up. So I got the power and the control. And now our laser is on. So we're going to move that over and get it centered. We're going to use that fire button to make this fire without actually burning anything. So you'll see the laser, and then we'll center it down here on the bottom left corner. This is called zeroing in the CNC world and lasering world. So we'll zero at X and Y and then zero at Z. Of course, if you were lasering something that wasn't already pre-cut and it could go anywhere, you could just move your material right down over to where it was and then just laser, but I need to be pretty exact because I've already cut this square, so I'm going to move it over to my material. I got it up this way toward the north, perfect, and since my computer's all the way on the other side, I had somebody help me click the buttons as I told them where to go.
But left and right is really easy since I already know it's square. I'm just going to scoot this over rather than move it. And you can see I'm pretty much right there on the corner with the laser. So now we're going to do a trace. We're going to make sure that this trace is perfectly where we're actually going to laser in, so we make sure we're right, and then we'll go ahead and start cutting. Okay, so we're ready. We have our everything moved. We've checked the laser. It's right at the bottom left corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear origin right here. We're going to click on set origin. So that sets it right here. And we're going to change this start from absolute chords. We want to change this to current position. If we don't do this, it's not going to line up correctly. So current position, you can see the green just moved right to here, which is correct. That's where we want it to start. The red is where our job origin is. The green is where our actual cutting head is. So that's the last known position of the laser, the little red dot. So that's where we're at. Now, if all is right, we're at current position. Job origin is the bottom left. That's where our laser is. You can actually start the laser up here if you want. You would move that to the top left and so forth. But the bottom left is pretty much where we're always going to start. That's how we like to do it usually. So our bottom left, we're going to click on this frame as a square, and we should get the machine to move around perfectly where it's going to go, the outside, so we know exactly where we're at. Double check you're on current position. So now we'll click frame, and we'll see where that goes. All right, you can see frame went ahead and went all the way around, so now we're ready to go ahead and start. So all we'll do is click start, and we're ready to Lightburn. Cut may be out of bounds, continue anyway. Yes, so it's going to be a long process, and that's if our settings are correct. In hard maple, it may be too fast. I'm going to have to probably go down in speed, slow it down a little bit. But that's where the starting settings are for you. So we'll see if this turns out. I'm looking forward to see what you guys have made. If you use the Jtech laser and any of these settings has helped, tag me in anything you do so I can see what you've done. Send me any DMs or questions or any updates, whatever selections work best for you, and I'll go ahead and update the description down below as I can, and also the blog post. Okay, I wanted to show the easiest way to go back to the settings if you're done with burning and using the laser and you don't want to mess with the money stuff typing in the console. Just open up Carbide Motion and connect to the cutter, and if you can't connect because you just use Lightburn, turn the CNC off and not back on. Come up to Settings, and then select your version of the Shapeoko. I have the XXL, and just hit Send Config Data. Now, it looks like it's not doing anything, but if you hit Open Log, it'll open up your internet, and you can see here it is. It's going from bottom to top. It's changing all those money numbers back to defaults automatically. So we don't have to remember anything, it just automatically does it for us. So if we never looked at this log, it would look like this didn't do anything, but the log actually is showing things. See, it's finished because now it's going back to idle. So we're back to CNC mode. That's a really quick and easy way to change from Lightburn and lasering back to CNC mode. Hope this video helped you with your Jtech laser and using Lightburn software on your hobby CNC. I think my picture came out pretty good. I've got good contrast, especially on this maple. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will always answer them. Make sure to check the description down below for all the codes that I used in inputting the numbers into Lightburn. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give a thumbs up and click that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time with more in this Lightburn series. Happy cutting!